Hello, hello, hello. Ooh, my hair, so funny. Okay, good evening, everyone. Good evening. This is an evening live. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. So, we are going to wait one more minute before I start and see who's joining us today. It's a different time of the day, as I wasn't able to do it as usual at 2 o'clock, but still doing it, but at 6 o'clock. So we'll see if anyone is joining. And we are going to start talking about the first, no, not the first, but the chapters that we've read so far, from chapter 1 to chapter 8, and do maybe a more in-depth recap of the last chapter. So I'm going to do a very brief recap on the first 2 parts of the book, part 1 and part 2, and then I will recap quickly as well chapter 7, and with a little bit more details chapter 8. And then we will start reading chapter 9. Penelope, which is Penelope is oh my God, who is Penelope? Oh yes, Penelope is Shirley's friend. I mean, at first she is her colleague. She was not really her friend at the beginning, but then became gradually her friends, because Shirley is going to kind of change her perception on teaching and hello, Melissa, but unfortunately in a negative way. So therefore she is going to be friends with Penelope towards the end of her career. So quick recap. Part 1 is about those 3 women, Amma, Yaz, and Dominic. Yaz is Amma's daughter, and Dominic is Amma's friend. How are you today? Oh, very good. Mel, hey, very good English. I'm very good, and I'm happy to be here tonight. Oh, I'm so glad that you are improving. Tu t'améliores en anglais, je vois, c'est bien. Very good. Excellent. And how are you? How are you today? Answer. Tell me, how are you? Good, great. I'm so happy. Good. Nice. What did you do today? Tell me about your day. Okay, I continue. So Amma and Yaz, Yaz and Dominic. So, hi, bonjour. Donc, this is my live. Donc, c'est mon live aujourd'hui. Je lis cette histoire. I'm reading this story. Girl, woman, other. So I'm doing a quick recap of the first parts of the part one, which is about three women, Amma, Yaz, and Dominic. Yaz is Amma's daughter and Dominic is Amma's friend. So we follow these three women, and Amma is working as in the National Theatre. In the National Theatre in London, and Dominic is Amma met Dominic while she was they were both auditioning for a role. Hi, Kitty. Welcome tonight. How are you? How are you, Kitty? I'm glad you were able to make it live to attend this live tonight. So I'm happy that you're there. How are you? And so they met when they were auditioning for a role, and then they created a company, a theater company together. And then Dominic moved. Hello, Dominic. What's the story? That's the story, Melissa. Girl, women, other. And she, sorry, what was I saying? So Dominic flew across America to live with another woman, with an American woman in a women's camp, sort of community. And then she escaped this relationship, and then met someone else and built up a family together in America. Okay. Part two, we discover a different another branch of three women, and about Carol, Bummy, and Letitia. So Bummy is Carol's mother, and Letitia was Carol's friend at school. So the story is about different women, and Black women more specifically, Black women and women or mixed race women. So women who have a parent that is white and another one that is, I don't know, African or Chinese or different country. But in this book, they're from Africa or the Caribbean, and it's about racism, it's about discrimination, it's about sexual assault, abuse, very, very deep, very strong, very serious topics, very it asks very deep questions, but also there's some lightness and some happy endings, some very yes, some very positive things as well that happens in their lives, and success stories. Yeah, so that's it about that's about it. And then we've got part two, Carol, who becomes very successful, a very successful investment banker, despite the fact that she's been raped at a very young age, and she will overcome this trauma. Oh, yes. Melissa, very good. Your English is correct, is very good. So well done. Great. Um, so in part 2, it's about rising above, let's say, yes, rising above the circumstances that you've experiences, and overcoming a lot of obstacles and managing to get a successful career and a fulfilling life. In part 3, so now we have started part 3, and we have read Shirley's story, and Shirley was Carol's teacher. She used to be her teacher, and she has helped her. Kisses, godmother. Yes, lots of kisses. You're my goddaughter. Lots of kisses. So Shirley helped Carol when she decided that she wanted to get her life back on track and her studies. She decided that she wanted to not be defined by the trauma that happened to her, being raped, being gang raped, so being raped by different person at the same time, by a group of boys. And when she was 13, and then she decided that she wanted to study hard and get a very good job so that she could have a good life and a better life, and not being defined by this trauma, and in a way sort of forget about it, and yeah, sort of moving away from this social, from the social environment as well, moving away from this. And Shirley is actually kind of sad and regrets and disappointed, maybe in a way. There is some bitterness in her, because Carol was the first girl that she helped during that she started mentoring, and she have seen her becoming very successful woman, and Carol never came back to school to say thank you to her. And yeah, it's something that she would have appreciated, that her student could have done, but yeah, she hasn't. But Shirley managed to, after Carol left the school, she started mentoring a lot of other students. So Carol was the first one, and then she helped many other students after Carol. And yeah, after that, we've got the story of Winsome. Winsome is Shirley's mother. Yeah, Winsome. Oh yes, now that the whole story comes back, and Katie knows about it. So Winsome. So this chapter 8 was very shocking or very surprising, if you remember, Kitty. It was very the news came like a bomb. And it was the fact that so Winsome is Shirley's mother, and what do we learn about her? She where was that? What happened to her? The thing is, what we happen after what happened, what we learn at the end is so shocking that we forget, that it eclipses everything. everything else. Yes, she talks about the struggle when she moved from Barbados to, she's originally from Barbados, and she moved with her husband, Clovis, yeah, to England to find a better life. And they struggled living in England in the 50s or 60s. Yeah. I don't see the year. Yeah. And she talks about the struggle and the racism that they faced during that time. Um, and she decided that in the 50s. Yeah. And she decided to, oh yes, Kitty. Thank you. You follow. Thank you. Yeah, definitely go. Don't hesitate to give me the answers, because my memory, it sometimes just fails me. In the 50s, yes. She talks about her struggle, and also the fact that she wasn't really on the same page as her husband, because she wanted to move back to London. As so they arrived in London, and then her husband wanted to go to Plymouth and work as a fisherman, and she agreed to follow him. But then very quickly they found it very hard to find jobs and settle in the countryside, in the English countryside. They stayed for a while, but then afterwards she kind of how do you say, yeah, she kind of uh, what's the word, what's the verb, she kind of did an ultimatum, sort of, she posed an ultimatum, or sorry, I don't have the exact phrase, but she sort of said, either you follow me or I leave you, but I definitely move back to London. Because as I was saying, London was more populated with Black people, and there were a sense of community much stronger than the sense of community was much stronger in London than in the countryside, in the English countryside, where there were less people. Yeah, they had a very difficult time. It was much hard. It was much easier to to make friends and not feel as much rejection as well, feel less rejected by society and by the people when they were in London. It felt like, I assume that they felt more protected, because there is a passage as well when even the police uh, did not told them to, if they weren't happy, they could just go back. Why wouldn't they go back where they came from? So when you see that even the police is not say is on the other side, is not there to protect you, then it must feel very insecure. You must feel very insecure living there. So yeah, I can't imagine how it could have been for these people, and even for some people nowadays who are still facing racism and discrimination, whereas whatever it is in France or is still in the UK or other countries, how difficult how um hard it must be um to face those injustice, especially from the police, or being accused wrongly just because of the color of your skin. So that was very, very powerful, very poignant. And at the end, we learn. So I can't remember. Maybe Katie, you remember what happened to Clovis? He died or something? Well, I guess he did die, but I think I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened to Clovis, but Clovis wanted to give a chance. Nice to us. Where? Mm. Uh, so they returned home. She was, ouais. So Winsome realized gradually that Clovis is not very exciting and she starts developing feelings for Lennox. Not in chapter 8. Oh, true. Uh oh yes, we learn. Oh yes, it's in chapter 7 then, when we talk about Shirley, and she when it's about Shirley, and she probably talk about her dad. Parents, blah blah blah. I can't remember. Yeah. Um, I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't say true. Yeah, it doesn't say. Yeah, actually, we don't really know. Yeah, because then there is a jump into the present, and anyways, she starts feeling less attracted by Clovis, and actually she decides and she starts having feelings for Lennox, who is her son-in-law, her Shirley's husband, who is younger and more uh, who is fit, in a good shape, um, and they start having an affair because it seems like it's reciprocal. The feelings are shared by, I mean, feelings, the attraction is also on Lennox's side, but Shirley seems to be completely blind about this, um, about what is happening. It doesn't really, I don't, and it seems like she doesn't realize what's going on between the two of them, because she's feeling completely content and happy with him, and happy with Lennox. And actually, she praises him. She's saying that, oh, he's so good. He's such a nice husband. He's doing everything. And she feels lucky. And actually, and what's very interesting in Winsome's way is unimaginable. Yeah, it's but this is maybe fiction, but it's definitely inspired by real. I've heard in some families, things that someone's, I don't know, the son-in-law, no, not the son-in-law, but between brothers or sisters-in-law, things happened like that. I mean, in families, sometimes crazy stuff happens. But yes, it's it's crazy. And what's interesting with Winsome's philosophy around this affair is that she kind of justify this affair by the fact that it's better that he's sleeping with me than with someone else and has a child with someone else and leave the home, to kind of find excuses for Lennox. And despite that, she is still, I think that Winsome develops feelings for him at some point, because we learn towards the end that he decided all of a sudden that he stops all relations with him all of a sudden, and she felt kind of left out, and she wanted him more. But she did not, at some point, he did not give her any explanation. He just simply stopped. Windsor did not hate him for it, but she wanted him more because of it. So she had still feelings for him, I guess, or she was still feeling attracted. Yeah, but I mean, it's difficult, especially if we put ourselves, I mean, I don't justify any of this, but the feeling of being attracted to someone when maybe at 50 years old you still have desires, and that's something as well women's desire when they're getting old, when they're getting older. It's often it's not something that we talk about that much. And here in this book, the author, as a woman, she acknowledges the fact that at 50 we still have desires and wants also to be desirable, and that's important for a couple, for the longevity of a couple, but also for your self-esteem, feeling that. And I think that's also very reassuring, or it feels good when, especially when you're getting older, and that you see that a younger man wants to sleep with you, wants to kiss you, wants to, and how good it must feel for her, that how good it must feel for her to feel that someone is attracted by her, and that she is someone that is has can seduce still, or is desirable, someone that is desirable. That's something that must feel good for her. That's true. That is an important point. Yeah, and significant. Yeah, definitely. And especially, I don't know what happened to her husband, but whether he's dead or not, when they start living, when you feel like there is no passion anymore, or when you feel like the other person is not looking at you anymore, really, or paying attention to you, it must feel very lonely. And unfortunately, it fell into the hands of her husband, of her son-in-law. It happened with her son-in-law, unfortunately. but and that's not right, I would say, to do that in her daughter's back. It's kind of easy, I would say. It's the easy solution. It's because he's there, and then just let's go for it, and not think about the consequences and how it could affect her daughter or whatever if she happen if she would happen to learn about it. Um, so that is something. This is the actual judgment that we could have, or that we, or not a judgment, that is something that we could criticize in a way. But this is an extract. I think probably in the book, in the original book, we have more details on how this whole thing happened. So yeah. So yeah, it's just a little, yeah, snip of the chapter. So I think if we want more details, must definitely read the book. But I guess, yeah, you have to sort of see both sides. And but yes, it's not ideal. Anyway, so now we need to start reading chapter 9. Okay, so Penelope is Shirley's colleague and later on friend. Okay, so let's start. Penelope's parents were not very interesting people. It was unfortunate, she wrote in her diary at 14, because she was actually a very interesting person who surely had an exciting life to look forward to. Her father, Edwin, had never done anything important, and her mother, Margaret, was also extremely boring, although her family history was quite interesting. She had been born in the newly created South Africa. Okay, so Penelope's parents are from South Africa. I mean, Margaret, her mother. Yeah. After she had been born in the newly created South Africa, after her parents sold their failing farm in England. They had moved to South Africa to take over some land which had been given to the only people who were able to look after it, her mother told her. Wait. Her father, was extremely boring. She had been, no, sorry, she refers to Penelope. So Penelope was born in South Africa. Sorry, my mistake. I didn't pay attention. So Penelope was born in South Africa. They had moved to South Africa to take over some land which had been given to the only people who were able to look after it, her mother told her. That means the white race. Us. Okay. Margaret's family did not last long in South Africa. After her father was badly attacked by the native men, so people who are from this land, who he employed to work on the farm and also abused. So there's some slavery here, I don't know. So it feels like Penelope is white, because it seems like her parents are English and moved to South Africa. Yeah, that means the white race, us. Yeah. So yeah, Penelope is white. So Margaret's family did not last long in South Africa. Okay. After the attack, he sold the farm cheaply and brought his family back to England. They moved in with relatives and he never worked again. Okay. I was glad to be back in England, her mother said. I didn't like the way the native men looked at me over there. It was no place for a white girl to grow up. Okay. Penelope's mother sometimes told her stories about her life once she had returned to England. She told her about how she would leave her house at night, yeah, without her parents knowing to go swimming, without her parents knowing to go swimming naked in the river. Without her parents knowing to go swimming naked in the river. Yeah, it's kind of a funny thing with English is that there is no punctuation, and sometimes you're a bit confused. So there is no comma, so I was a little bit confused here. So without her parents knowing, to go swimming naked in the river. She also loved dancing. Penelope found it hard to imagine that her dull mother had once lived an exciting life. She felt sorry for her that she had to live it to have a family. Then her parents told her that she was a lie, and any sympathy she had felt for her mother disappeared as quickly as it had come. The lie was bad enough on its own, but it was the cruel way they chose to tell her but it was the cruel way they chose to tell her, which left her feeling bitter towards her parents. You're not our real daughter, her father told her at lunch on her 16th birthday. She had been left as a baby on the steps of a church, and her parents, who had been trying to have a child of their own for years, adopted her and took her home. Okay. What they did not tell her in that moment was that they loved her. They had never told her this. Instead, they carried on as normal and ignored the tears that fell down her cheeks. When it became clear that her parents would not try to comfort her, Penelope ran to her room and cried even more. To them, it was a normal Saturday afternoon, but Penelope's whole life had changed. Later that night, when Penelope studied herself more closely in her mirror, it became very clear to her that she looked nothing like Edwin and Margaret. They were both short people with pale skin and thin hair. Penelope was tall, with curly strawberry blonde hair, and was able to get a nice tan during the summer without trying very hard. Penelope decided she would go to university, become a teacher, and meet a man who loved her dearly. They would have children together, children who she would love and who would fill the hole she now felt inside her. So it seems like Penelope is kind of light. The color of her skin is quite close to white, but she has curly hair. Curly hair and curly strawberry blonde hair. So she's probably a mixed race child with that tends to her skin is more white than maybe brown. So I guess that is probably the reason why they picked her and not another brown a more darker skin baby. Or maybe, yeah, or, well, yeah, yeah, because she didn't look that brown, so they were like, okay, maybe she can look like she's our daughter. That's interesting. Okay, so now there is a gap in time, so that's probably nearer to the present time. Penelope met Giles shortly after her parents revealed their lie to her. He was the captain of his school's rugby team. So they revealed her at 16. So yeah, so then she's now probably maybe, yeah, 16, 17, yeah. He was the captain of his school's rugby team, and he was very handsome. Penelope started going to his bus stop every morning with the hope of seeing him there so they could walk together and talk. Luckily, conversation came easily to them, and soon she and Giles began to hold hands and kiss goodbye when he walked her to her school gates. Penelope was in love, and by the time she was 18, they were engaged. They married as soon as Penelope had graduated from teachers training college. Giles was already working as an engineer, and he moved them to a large house in London where they would start their family together. She became pregnant with their son, Adam, straight away, which stopped her from going into teaching, but she did not mind. She still had plenty of time to work in a school and build her career. She had their daughter, Sarah, a year later. Penelope did not mind looking after the children, but after 3 years of having to stay at home to take care of them, she wanted to do something for herself. When Giles came home from work, she raised the issue of returning to her job as a teacher. It's not like we can't hire someone to look after the children for us. A woman, that's Giles, her husband. A woman shouldn't have two masters, Giles said. You can't have a boss at work and a husband at home. Are you joking? Asked Penelope. He was not. Penelope started to visit the library and read books about American housewives who felt just like her. Unhappy and bored with simply being a wife and a mother. Penelope wanted more. She continued to ask Giles to let her go. She continued to ask Giles to let her go back to work until one morning when he put his hand through the glass window of the front door. He put his hand through the glass. Okay, he put his hand. Sorry, he put his hand through the glass window of the front door. So wait. He put his hand through the glass. Yeah, sorry. I thought I was misunderstanding it. Yeah, so basically he broke the glass. Yeah. You're lucky it wasn't your face, he shouted at her. They divorced shortly after. Okay, so it became super violent. Penelope got to keep the house and the children. Without Giles to stop her, Penelope got a job at Peckham School for Boys and Girls and found someone to take care of Adam and Sarah while she was at work. Again, a very conflicting household. Household is a word used to talk about the family. It's another word for the family life, the household. Yeah. She met her second husband, Philip, at a friend's wedding 6 weeks after her divorce from Gilles was official. Philip was an improvement from Gilles. He was a therapist. Ooh, caring, sensitive, and knew what to do in the bedroom. Oh, that's I knew what to do in the bedroom to make Penelope feel good. That's important. Most importantly, Philip was interested in her. He liked to ask her questions about her life and who she was deep down inside. Life with Philip was good until it was not. It feels like every time that they meet someone nice, then there is a but. Okay, let's see. Soon, Philip's questions became annoying. What happened to you as a child, Penny? He would ask. It's clear you have some issues. I'd rather not talk about that, Penelope replied. Then let's talk about why you have to clean the toilet 3 times a day. I do it because you keep getting the seat dirty, darling, Penelope said. When he asked her why she did not clean the wine glasses the way he thought she should, she threw them on the floor. She threw them onto the floor. Penelope's marriage to Philip quickly fell apart. But they did not divorce. She had decided she would rather be unhappy than admit to having another failed marriage. Rule number 1, couples do not invite single women to their dinner parties. She and Philip continued to live in the same house, but lived separate lives. It worked for a while until Penelope discovered that he had been dating a 90-year-old girl called Melissa. After Philip left, Penelope was alone in the home. So that make probably sense. So her personal life then affected it. It feels like it definitely that it affected her work life as well, because we learn from Shirley's story that she's a very unhappy person. So that explains. After Philip left, Penelope was alone in the home. She found an African cleaner called Boomy to help her keep the place clean, and she rented out some of the other rooms upstairs to Japanese students. Penelope liked students. They were clean, quiet, and respectful, and she liked to be bowed to when she collected their rent. Penelope did not like being single. She had discovered that it was not easy to find a partner now that she was middle-aged. She tried to be happy. She tried to be happy food shopping for one, and happy to go to sleep alone. She tried to be happy to look at her middle-aged body in the mirror without making a face. She also tried to be happy at work, especially as she had lost her first husband due to her right. She also tried to be, especially she had lost her first husband due to her right to do it. Okay. At first, she had enjoyed teaching the children at Peckham, school for boys and girls, but she did not like it when children from immigrant families started joining the school. The school quickly changed from mostly white students to students from all kinds of countries. The teachers were changing too, like Shirley, who had only just started teaching when she attacked Penelope in a meeting all those years ago. Penelope did not understand why Shirley had chosen to disagree with her, and it took her a long time to forgive her. But when she did, they became friends, work friends. Years after the divorce, the front doorbell rings. It's Sarah and her husband, Greg, with their small twins, Matty and Molly. Penelope opens the door and the children jump on her. Sarah kisses her cheek and Greg gives her his usual Australian hug. She loves it when Sarah comes to visit with her family. Her daughter helped her after divorce number 2. Okay, so it's about divorce number 2. So in the end, she divorced again. She is her best friend, as Penelope often reminds her. When her family comes to visit, they give her the chance to forget about her worries and focus on the people she loves. After lunch, the children start running around. Penelope thinks parents should hit their children whenever they get out of control. But Craig says it is child abuse. Instead, she gets her grandchildren to come to the sofa by holding up 2 sweets. Sweets is like candies. Once there, she puts her arms around them and reads them a book about a talking train. Once the twins have fallen asleep, Sarah decides to tell her some big news. Mom, there is never going to be a right time to tell you this. We're moving to Sydney. Penelope starts to cry as she thinks about how much she is going to miss seeing her grandchildren grow up. Oh, because her son-in-law is Australian, so I guess they want to live sometime over there. Yeah, that's the end of chapter 9, and that's probably a tricky thing that have to go through people coming from different countries, where where each of the person in the couple come from a different country, and you choose to live in one country for a while, and then you decide to move to another to the partner's country, for obvious reasons, to be closer to your family, to kind of share that time a little bit. Now, I've been living in your country for a while now, go and live in mine. But it's not always easy, especially when one of the partner doesn't speak the other person's language. I've seen different couples, like bilingual couples, who kind of, it's not always easy when the other person comes to live in France, for example, and he's maybe English and he doesn't speak the language, and there is this language barrier, and it's not easy. But here it's not really a problem when it's in when both. Yeah, that really happens often. Yeah, and it's yeah, and it's when in this case they both are speaking English, and so it's not a question about, even though there are cultural differences, but they kind of speak the same language. But when the two people speak different language, that might be that's tricky, and you probably understand that very well, Katie, and the fact that you have to leave your country because you have to, because you want to find a better job, better quality of life, but then you have the rest of your family that is still in your country. That must be very hard. Yeah. So that's about it. That's chapter 9. And that was the end of part 3. And part 4, chapter 10, is going to be about Megan and Morgan. I don't think we have seen those names so far, or maybe with Carol. Tell me, Katie, if you remember those names. Do you remember those names? Morgan and Morgan, Megan and Morgan. I don't recall seeing their names on, maybe I didn't pay much attention to them. Let me know if you remember. I don't know. Carol. Doesn't ring any bell. No, I don't. Yeah. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see what happens. Yeah. A new group of people. Let's see the names. We've got Megan. Let's see. Grace. Okay. Well, we'll see. That's gonna be the surprise. The surprise for tomorrow. Tomorrow, 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. Paris time or CET. I will read chapter 10. Thank you so much again, Kitty, and the rest of the people who attended at the beginning of the live. And I wish you a lovely evening. Have a beautiful evening and restful end of the evening. A non-binary activist in chapter 1. Oh, a non-binary activist. Oh my God. Did you buy the book, Kitty? Or is this just your notes? You remember? Wait. Chapter 1. Do you have the book as well? Or is it just because you took notes? You've got the book. Okay, makes sense. And oh yeah. Yes, a non-binary activist called Morgan came and gave her a lecture at university, and they opened my eyes. So Morgan came to Yaz's university. Yes. So Morgan came to Yaz's university to give a lecture or to give a lecture. That means no more male, female. Oh, okay. But who is Megan? That's Morgan. Is it her sister? Well, we'll see. We'll discover who is Megan. I love this is you bought the ebook. Great, amazing. That's great. I know ebook can be great, but I like, having the paper. I bought ebooks mainly when I was studying. If I'm studying the book with a class, with a classroom, with a class, with students. And it's nice when we can project the text. But actually, I think when I buy books like for myself, I like touching. But I know it's very it takes space in the bag, and when you travel, it's heavy and stuff. So I definitely understand why people use Kindle, or I mean the yeah, the Kindle thingy to read books, but I don't know. And sometimes I like to take notes and annotate my book. Yeah, yes, I like to annotate my book as well. And because sometimes I have a reflection on it, or I've got an idea that comes to my mind, and I like to review books as well. That's something I'm going to do very soon as well, to do a book review of a book. I'm going to talk about, I've read that book, Be Seen. It's more about it's a non-fiction book. It's about how, when you want to build a business, that's more for people who want to build their own business, and how to create a brand around you, and how to develop your activity and be visible online. So that was very helpful. So yeah, as you can see, I have those little sticky notes. I love it. And I like to annotate and highlights and write notes in it. So yeah, I like to smell the book. So yeah, usually I tend to buy the book, physical books. And my aim is to create a big, make myself a big bookshelf. Yeah, as soon as one day, soon. Anyway, it was so lovely to chat with you today, Katie, and I'll see you tomorrow for our live reading, next live reading. Have a lovely evening. Bye bye. See you. Yes, do. I like to use, I know that, I don't know if you're for or against Amazon, but I have to say, yes, if you're for or against Amazon, but I have to say that Amazon is actually very practical, very useful for to buy books, or to buy English books, because sometimes you don't always find the books in English in like normal libraries. So yeah, you can find them you can find this book on my Amazon list. So I will see you tomorrow. That was the last word for today. Bye bye.